guys, it's Kat at Kat Reviews Books. I am back with a book haul because, of course, I collect more books than I read. Thank you, of course, for always bearing with me as I go through the hauls. I know you're probably just as excited as I am to watch them, but I know sometimes it can seem like a lot. Let's just get started, shall we? I am going to start with some things that you have probably already seen if you've watched any of my previous videos. But if for some reason you haven't, I got a copy of Horror Movie from Paul Tremblay. This one was part of the Independent Bookstore Day haul that I did, and this copy is signed. How exciting! I mentioned in that video I love the sprayed edge color. It's very different from the Barnes & Noble exclusive red one that we had for a while. I'm very excited to read this. I have been wanting to read Paul Tremblay for a little while. I'm finally starting to get back into my horror phase, so it's a good time for it. On that same day, of course, I have a autographed copy of Lightlark. I have the third book signed as well, and so I was like, well, might as well just try to complete the collection. This one also, again, came with some art prints. I have yet to read the books, so I don't know anything about these characters, but I am very excited for when I do finish these books because I just know I am going to love them. And again, the signed book for you to see in all its glory. I love. It also does have this for its naked book, which I forgot to show in my book haul video. I will then get into all of the books that I personally bought that weren't part of the Independent Bookstore Day haul. This includes Snow Globe 2. In order to talk about this book, I have to mention this one. This is a YA dystopian that gives K-drama vibes. It has these gorgeous end pages, and the naked book is a stunner. I love her. This was one of my favorite reads last year. I was super obsessed. And I was so upset that I had allowed myself to read it before the second book was out, especially because I had to wait until May, I think May 4th to buy this, May 5th, 6th, somewhere in those days. So I was heartbroken. I'm very excited for the sequel. I'm hoping it'll answer a lot of my unanswered questions, and I do think it's just supposed to be a duology, so I can breathe. But my plan is to maybe audiobook this one before I get into this one, just as a refresher course. But I'm very excited. I loved these books. I love K-dramas. I love dystopians. If you want a YA dystopian of a character who lives outside of a snow globe until she's inside of a snow globe with a murder mystery-esque vibe, this is it. Read this book. You will be obsessed. I was obsessed. I will never stop recommending this book. And both versions just came out in paperback when this one released as a hardcover. So if you don't like hardcovers, now's the time. The unfortunate thing about this one that I will say is that it didn't come with the edges or the change in the hardcover. So I was a little heartbroken, but the first one is gorgeous and I have to have them match. So the next book that I bought came out on May 13th last month. It is Of Earthly Delights. I loved this book. I love Goldie. I have a short where I talk about this book and wish it a happy release day. If you want enchanted garden vibes and romance, read this book. If you want a twist that's gonna make you scream, if you want a ending that might make you cry, read this. Just actually, even if you don't want that, read this. This is your one. This is the one that I will beg. Please, just give it a shot. It's so good. I read this on my Texas trip last year when I got it as a NetGalley arc, and I was super excited because, again, I loved the Mary Shelley Club. But reading this in the car and not being able to pace during certain scenes absolutely drove me up a wall. I will never, ever not be able to pace when reading a Goldie book again. Ever. The other exciting thing about that, though, is that when I messaged the author that I was planning to buy a copy, she was so lovely as to send me an art print of the characters along with this little holographic sticker. And again, I did show all of this in my short, but we also have a signature, a book blade. I was super hyped for that. I want it to be known. Following that, my most recent purchase was a finished copy of The Rose Bargain. I was obsessed with this book. I was surprised that I was obsessed with this book because it is a fantasy book about fays, and that's not something I would generally ever pick up. But this was recommended by the author of Caraval, which I loved that book, and my coworker lent me his ARC copy to read, and I devoured it in a couple days' time, maybe in a sitting. I was so mad because I was in the last 40 pages at work and I couldn't finish it because I had to go back and I didn't have any more breaks that day. And so I just had to come home and finish it and then immediately message my coworker and be like, yo, what the heck? What the freak did you let me read? And why is there no second book? And why do I have no answers? And why is that ending so illegal? I love this book. I gave this book 5 stars. I loved it. I think about this book all the time since I finished it. Sasha, please give me news for the second book soon. Honestly, I'll be a beta reader for your next book. I don't even care if you send me 2 words a day. I'll be satisfied. I'll be happy. I will make it work. I need more. I also got a copy of these epic Greek myths and tales. I have been digging more into Greek history and stuff lately, and so I thought this would be a good place to maybe start and dig more into that. I do know quite a bit already about Greek stuff, but I thought, well, most of what I know is from other books and then looking up that information and being like, oh, okay, and then just getting on with that book. So it'd be nice to actually know the myths and the tales. I think that'll make me appreciate the other books in my life a little more. We're now going to get into the promotional and ARC copies that I have received free as a benefit of the place I work. We have all of the fighting parts. This is, I believe, a YA promotional copy that I received. I don't know too much about it. I read the synopsis when I picked it up and thought it sounded good. It also had been sitting on the table for like a week before I picked it up and was like, okay, what is this actually about? Because the cover didn't really draw me in at first, but it sounds interesting enough. I'm gonna give it a go. It's a free copy, so no harm, no foul. We'll see how I like it. Okay, we're now on to the ARCs. I have a copy of Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. This is the light novel version. I'm very excited for this. My boyfriend knows about this series, so I'm glad to have something that I can talk to him and bond over. So, then have Kill Creatures. This was giving me Gorgeous Gruesome Faces vibe, which is another arc that I have on my shelf from back when I first started my job. I do need to read that, and I might actually make it the next book since I just finished the book I just was reading. So, but this is from the author who wrote Wilder Girls, and it sounds very, very good, so I'm super excited for it. I am gonna give it a go soon. We then have The Four Spent the Day Together. This is another one that had been sitting on our table at work for like a week before anybody bothered picking it up, which it was me, and I read the synopsis and I went, okay, this sounds interesting enough. So again, don't know much about it, read the synopsis, figured it was free. I'd give it a go and then I'd take it back to work and maybe somebody else would be ready for it then. This next one I am super excited for. It is Never Thought I'd End Up Here. This author wrote one of my other favorite books from last year. I hope this doesn't find you, which I have an art copy of. I will be getting a actual copy of this soon, but when I went to buy it, it was still on hardcover, and I am a paperback girly unless you have a good reason to be a hardcover, but I will probably do that soon and then see if anybody wants to read this at my job. But I loved it, and I'm super excited to delve more into her. I also have her other book on my list. I cannot think of the name right now. I think maybe This Time It's Real. Pretty excited for it. So we then have Shaw, Connolly Lives to Tell. This is from Gillian French. She wrote, I believe, The Hunter. It is a mystery novel. I thought it sounded very good, so I picked it up. I'm trying to get back into more mystery books, as I did with my horror phase. Hopefully that will be coming around soon. So I have yet to read anything from this author, so I figured, why not give it a go? In that same wavelength, we have Party of Liars. This one, I believe, is supposed to be a YA mystery thriller, though, and this one sounded pretty good. Sounded more up my alley than some other mystery books have over the years. We are getting down to the last two. I also have The Ghostwriter, another mystery book from Julie Clark. I did recently get her other book, The Last Flight, I believe it's called. It's a red cover, as a free book through work as an ebook. But I saw this come in, and I've been eyeballing the hardcover version of this, so I think I might move this up my TBR so I could maybe buy a copy of that when it officially comes out, if it hasn't already. The last book that I have is Lost Souls Meet Under a Full Moon. This is a translated book, I believe. It was giving me fiction vibes. It sounded very good, and I'm trying to branch out my reading more. So I was hoping that this might be similar to Before the Coffee Gets Cold, which I enjoyed the first book, did not get into the rest of the series. So that is my most recent haul. Let me know if you've gotten any fun books recently, if you've gotten any fun bookish stuff, if you've got anything coming up that you will be buying. I'd love to hear about it all in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.